I've been selling on Etsy for about 4 years now, and I've sold in all three categories. So in the handmade space, the print-on-demand space, and now only the digital space. And a lot of people think that my digital file shop, Bailey Designed Co., was actually started during the pandemic, and that is why it's done so well, but I actually didn't switch it over to be digital until January of 2022. When I opened the shop in 2020, it was the middle of October, and I was selling these glitter resin tumblers like these, and I was able to make a little over 13K in the last 2.5 months of the year, so it really wasn't bad for hopping on Etsy and not really knowing what I was doing yet. By the end of 2021, I was able to make over $240,000 as shown here on this screenshot, and this was still selling a combination of handmade, so the sublimation tumblers instead, as well as utilizing print-on-demand partners like Printify to fulfill the rest of my products. I then finally switched over to digital in January of 2022 and have since then been able to generate a little over $828,000, all from a $3 tumbler wrap design. So I have found that I've not only made way more money selling a lower ticket digital design product, I've also worked way less in the process. Now, please note that I'm not saying that this is passive income, but it is definitely way less work compared to what I was doing with my physical products, where I was making the products, shipping them, and then also the same with my print-on-demand shop because it was a personalized shop. So I still did have to manually fill each order because I had to add the personalization to the sweatshirt or to the mug or to the t-shirt design, whatever it was, and then manually fill that. So in my opinion, now having sold purely digital for the past 2.5 years, and then opening up my own digital website as well as other related digital products, I firmly believe that digital designs, products are the way to go, whether you are just starting out on Etsy or on your own platform. So in the next few minutes, I want to walk you through exactly how to start a digital product shop on Etsy. So you might expect me to dive into how to set up an Etsy shop or how to create a digital product or how to create a listing. But the first step that's actually the most important is choosing the audience that you're going to be selling your digital products to. So here are just a few of the top reasons why choosing your audience is so important when you decide to sell digital products. So the first thing is product and market fit. So knowing who your target audience is allows you to address a specific problem and then create a specific product for them. Without this, you are kind of just running blindly, creating things that will essentially never sell and wasting your time. It's also important, secondly, to understand pricing and how much your ideal customer is willing to pay for your product. So in my case, I sell a very low ticket digital product. It usually is around $3. And there's a lot of back and forth between a lot of different influencers, usually on TikTok and Instagram, that say you'll never make over 6 figures if you don't have a digital product that sells for over $10, and that is simply not the case. I myself is the prime example of someone who sells a low ticket digital file and have been able to make over 6 figures. I also know personally a lot of people specifically in the crafting digital file niche where they either sell SVG files or digital papers or clip art sets or t-shirt designs, and they all make well over 6 figures and their prices are below that $5 mark usually. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't sell high ticket digital products, but with high ticket digital products, you will usually have to have a certain skill set. So for a recent example, I purchased a Show It website template on Etsy, and that was essentially a digital product for $175. The shop only had about 10 listings, and they only need to sell one a day to make well over $3,000 a month, just off the top of my head. So it really depends on what your skill set is, or if you are on the more creative side, because what I've seen with the crafting space, again, whether SVGs, tumbler wraps, things that most of you are on my channel for, those are customers where they are going to be coming back to your shop again and again and again, especially if they like your style and your design. So I don't want that to scare anyone, saying that you cannot make a lot of money with low ticket digital products being fed this information that you need to sell $100 website templates or $50 Notion templates or whatever it might be. It really is all based on the audience. So in my case, the audience comes back again and again and again because they need a new design for whatever the next holiday is, whatever the next occasion is that they're searching for a design for, and so on and so forth. And that leads me into number 3, which is customer loyalty. So again, how often is that customer going to be coming back to you? If it's a one and done purchase, kind of like the Showit website, I most likely will not need another website template until I decide to start another business, which I guess that is highly probable. But that is to say, most people are not buying multiple website templates. Most people are not buying multiple digital planners unless they switch out their planner depending on their mood, which could totally happen. But those shops are usually smaller because they don't have repeat customers. I've spoken about this before, but if I was in the planning space or productivity and was selling digital planners, I would be highly interested in selling also digital planner stickers, because that is something that would keep your customer coming back over and over again because they purchase new stickers for every season, holiday, trend that you can imagine. So that is something that you would be able to create repeat customers with by adding in that additional product to your shop. So finally, when choosing your audience, the last thing is marketing. If you don't know who your target audience is, how will you be able to market to them effectively? This means just learning where they hang out on social media, whether that is on Pinterest, or do they hang out in Facebook groups, or are they on here on YouTube? Because you want to build a relationship that keeps them coming back over and over and over again. And this is something that I teach in my course about the automated traffic circle, setting this up once from the beginning so that you aren't worried about relying on the Etsy algorithm to show your products or to, get new customers every single day. You just have the same customers on repeat so that you're not worried about competition and, again, the Etsy algorithm. So how do you pick your target audience? So the first thing I like to say is to consider your own expertise and knowledge and what you're interested in. I am totally not on the train of just creating something for money or just because it looks good on paper or not a lot of competition, because at the end of the day, whatever it is that you're creating, you're going to be creating a lot of it until you get really good, and you won't be very fast at it. And if you don't enjoy doing it, it's really not going to be fun for you. So if you are interested in what you're creating, or you enjoy it, or you want to learn about it, it's going to make the process so much more easy. And I say this again and again to my students, just don't choose something that just, again, looks great on paper because there's not a lot of competition or it's really easy to make. Because again, at the end of the day, you're going to be making these products for a long time and you don't want to get burnt out by not enjoying the process. You could take a look at more holiday or event type themes. So think weddings, or they can even be seasonal shops like Christmas, things that will be heavily trafficked on certain times of the year and then slower on other times of the year, which those types of shops definitely can work, but that is just a different approach to take. You can also choose a pain point or a problem to address. And so there are so many things that you could look at where there's might not be a digital product yet even created for it, not looking at any type of search engine or keyword research tool, and you just specifically know of a problem, or you know of a friend or a family member who has a problem and you know of something that would benefit them, you could take a look at creating something in that niche. You could also analyze competitors both off Etsy and on Etsy and see what you could bring different to the table or more value, or maybe what they're lacking, if that's something that interests you. If you still want more information on finding the most profitable audience, I do have a free masterclass called Finding Your Most Profitable applicable audience to sell to on Etsy, and that will be linked down in the description, so you can go watch that whenever you can, and it will give you a really good understanding of what type of audience is good to choose based on what kind of income goals you are trying to make on Etsy. So the next step is product brainstorming and researching. So you should take into consideration your expertise and your skills as far as what you'll be creating. You'll want to be thinking about who the target audience is that you're going to be creating the said product for. And then next, you're going to validate the demand for this niche. So I use tools like Everbee and eRank to easily do this. You can type in a broad keyword such as, let's say you are interested in selling digital planners, into a keyword research tool like eRank or Everbee, and it's going to give you results that show either high amounts of competition or low amounts of competition. And I generally always recommend that you start out with something that has demand, so it shows that there is an active search for these products and there is a relatively low amount of competition. As a new seller, this is essentially the best way to get started on Etsy without having to pay a ton of ad spend or have a social media following that you can rely on. This is called search engine optimization, and so you're going to be optimizing your products for the Etsy search algorithm so that people who are typing in whatever it is that they're searching for hopefully find you within the first few pages and you make those sales. Once that you have validated demand for your product, meaning that there is a search for it, you're going to want to find competitors within that niche that are selling products well, and you can use that by using a tool like Everbee. You simply type in the product name, it will give you some results, and you can filter by monthly revenue or by monthly sale numbers, and then you can specifically look at those listings and try to make a master list of why it is that they're selling successfully. So this could be things like the style that they're being created in, or it could be the problem that they solve, or whatever it might be. You want to brainstorm all of the things that could be potentially making the listing sell well. It's also a good idea to read the product reviews of the products that you're finding, because this can also be like a hidden gold mine of finding things that you can improve on. If there's complaints about a specific problem that people are facing when they buy the product, then maybe you can improve on that. Or maybe there's constant praise about something, and so you know that that is something very important to the customer, so you can make sure to incorporate that into your product. This can also be done by joining online communities where these customers are. So whether that is on Facebook or on TikTok, you can start to find those types of groups and see what customers are talking about, what they're complaining about, what they think is great about something, what they wish they had, and you can get a lot of information gathered that way. So after you've done all of this brainstorming, you're just going to want to make sure that you meet the few key factors that I've went over, which is just that there is demand for the product that you want to create, you have the skills or the knowledge, or you are willing to invest in that to create something that is as good as that product, if not better, so that you have a place in the market. So next up is your Etsy shop setup. You'll just need to create an Etsy account or sign into your account if you already have one, and then add a profile picture and bio to let others know who you are and what you're selling. You can visit etsy.com/sell and select Get Started. I will also have a link down in the description to get your first 40 free listings if you don't already have an account. You'll then be prompted to answer specific questions about your business, your experience, your location, so just make sure all of that is filled out. Then you'll select your shop's language and currency and select Save and Continue, and make sure that the currency matches the currency that you're going to price your listings in order to avoid currency conversion fees. So then go ahead and choose your shop name, and I wouldn't overthink this. Remember not to infringe on any trademark or use spaces, special characters, or have a shop name that's already taken. It actually won't let you choose one if it is already taken, and then you'll just save and continue that. There are a few more things about connecting your bank account to your Etsy shop so that you can receive payments. And I do recommend setting up a business account with your bank so that you can keep your personal and business expenses separate, and it's just much easier during tax season. And then you'll just want to fill out the information on how you'll get paid and select the country of where your bank is located. If you are a US seller under bank information, you can connect that with the app Plaid. Finally, you'll also want to make sure that a debit or credit card is connected to Etsy to make sure that your fees get paid until you're making sales, and then it will just draw from your balance. So now you're finally ready to start creating your products. With this, the software that you choose is going to heavily depend on what it is that you're creating. So for example, if you are creating digital planners and checklists and you're a beginner, I would highly recommend something like Canva. If you are creating something like me, which is sublimation designs for tumblers and t-shirts, then I would recommend the tool Kittl, just because of its built-in AI software and its easy terms of use. And I will have a link for them down in the description below. I use Kittl in conjunction with Midjourney as well to create all of my digital designs. And it really is one of the fastest ways to create my designs. If you are familiar with something more advanced, like in the Adobe suite or maybe in Procreate, then you can simply choose that and create your products in there. On this channel here, I have several tutorials that are design tutorials for different types of products like clip art, tumbler wraps. I believe I have wind spinners. There is a digital planner, notebooks. So be sure to go through all of those if you are looking for a specific type of product to create for. I highly also recommend that if you are creating planners, checklists, printables, business assets, things that are not more creative like with what I currently sell, then to check out this video here, which is all about how I utilize PLR if I am creating something like that, just because it will give you a huge head start. For example, if you are creating a digital planner, you can get an editable template that has PLR or private label rights, and it gives you a huge head start, and all you have to do is edit it and add any additional papers or elements or graphics, and then you are ready to just go ahead and sell that without having to create something from scratch. So once you have your product created, whether it is a tumbler wrap or a digital planner, you have to mock it up because digital files can't just be added as your main mock-up image. Otherwise, everyone would just be able to take the design and wouldn't need to purchase it. So depending again on what you're creating is where you will create your mock-up. Creative Fabrica has tons of different mock-ups, again, for planners, printables, any digital item that you can think of, they have mock-ups for, and then you can choose to edit it in something like Photoshop or in Canva or even in Kittl if you so choose. So when mocking up, I just recommend using a high quality mock-up. Again, usually if they're found on Creative Fabrica or on Etsy, you're pretty much good to go. But just make sure that it is in line with what is currently selling on Etsy. You don't want to go the exact opposite of what everyone else has unless you're in the mood to test something. You never know, a completely different mock-up could do well. So actually I kind of take that back, but I usually just stay on the side of do what's working. I always try to find something that is different, though with mine, a lot of people use the same mock-up that I do for obvious reasons. But you can choose to find a more unique mock-up or even change the background a little bit just to give yourself a little bit of differentiation. And real quick here, if you are in the creative digital file space like I am, meaning you sell sublimation designs like tumbler wraps and mug wraps and t-shirt designs, or maybe you sell clip art and digital paper, and you're looking for something to give you a massive head start, then be sure to check out my new Done For You prompt, product, and SEO club. Daily, I provide you with a trending product that has low competition and the prompt to create it, whether that is in Kittl, My Designs, or in Midjourney, and also the SEO to go along with it. So just in the last 2 days of opening, we've already had over 100 people join, which is really great. I am planning on cutting this off fairly early just because I don't want a ton of people in there. I do provide daily support, so I can only go as far as I can. And there are design tutorials that are exclusive to the membership in there as well. So that link will be down in the description below if you want to check that out. So once you hopefully have a few products that you're ready to list, it's time to create the listing. So for this, I'm actually going to hop into my computer and just create a new listing from scratch and show you all of the important fields that should be filled out. So I'm just here on my listing tabs within my Etsy shop here. So I'm just going to click add listing right here. And then we're going to make sure that we choose digital files. And then you're going to click I made it, and then what is it? It's a finished digital product, so that one. And when did you make it? So I just put recently, which is the 2020 to 2024, and select production partners. This is just if you are doing something like print on demand and have a production partner, then you would select that and choose that. So then I've just clicked continue. So the first thing to fill out is the title, and this is probably the most important as far as your SEO, and you'll want to structure the keywords in your title for the ones that you want to be found for first in the beginning. So I'm going to actually pull up one of my other listings just so that we can have something to reference since I don't have a product pulled up. So I changed my mind and I'm not going to create a brand new one because then I won't have any information in there and I don't want to waste a bunch of time going back and forth finding one. So I've just opened up one here, and this is going to be this flip-flop beach tumbler one. So back to the title, we'll want to include your keywords that you found in eRank or Everbee or during your process looking on Etsy in the order of what you want to be seen for most at the beginning. The more competitive ones I usually put towards the end. Technically, this should be up here first. Do as I say, not as I have done, because this one is a pretty old one, and one of the luxuries of having a fairly successful shop is that I tend to sometimes ignore proper SEO tactics. So try to put your keywords here that you found that have less competition that you can potentially rank for at the beginning, and your more broad, vague ones that would probably have a lot more competition towards the end. The next area to fill out is your photos and video. I do usually recommend that you try to fill this up as much as possible, though with digital products, depending on what you're selling, you might not have that many mock-ups unless you just go get different types of mock-ups. So for the purposes of my listings, I have a normal one, which is here, a flat lay one so they can see the entire design. Then I have some free designs. Then I have one that doesn't have my logo on it, again, just to fill up the space. And then I have another thing that says basically it's a digital product so that they know what they're getting. And the second image is how to actually download your digital file, just because I found that this alleviates a lot of customer service where they just have the instructions on how to download it. And so that's what I have for my pictures. I have been incorporating video on some of them. It really just depends on if we have the time to mock up video mock-ups as well, but then that would go here. Your thumbnail is your first image here, so you can definitely zoom in more on this if your mockup is different by adjusting the thumbnail. And then the digital file space is where you'll actually upload your product. So you can have up to five digital files included, and a lot of people get hung up saying that their file is too big because there is a limit of, I believe, 20 megabytes that can be added per listing. If you run out of space, it's very easy just to create a PDF in Canva and link to your Dropbox or your Google Drive file folder where they can access the design, and then you just have to upload the PDF here. So your next spot to fill out is your description, and it does include it should include your title and your keywords as well, because it does play a small part in the SEO ranking. And so what I like to do with mine is, once I have my list of keywords and tags, meaning what I put in my title and these tags that I have here, I will usually just go over to ChatGPT and say, can you please create a Etsy description with this set of keywords and titles and include anything else. I have a pre-made template that I have for all of the different types of products that I sell. That way I can just copy and paste them, and we're not doing this every time. So if you just create that once at the very beginning, you'll save yourself a lot of time, and you won't have to be constantly getting a different set of description. You might have to change out a little bit if you decide to use specific design specific to your design. So if I wanted to use things like beach, ocean, flip-flops, then I would add it in here. But for the most part, I keep it very just specific to the type of product that it is, which is sublimation tumbler wraps. So next is your price and inventory. So this is the price that you're setting it at before any sale price, and it will give you your estimated profit here with the Etsy transaction fees, so you know exactly what it is they're taking out and what your estimated profit would be. This is based on this price and not that I'm usually running a sale, so do keep that into consideration when you are calculating this out. The next spot is your quantity. So with digital products, I usually always just put it in at the max, which is $9.99, so I don't have to worry about it. And I don't use anything with SKUs that's normally for physical products, and variations are not available for digital products because they can't choose a different type of tumbler wrap. So this will be pre-filled in with what you chose at the beginning, so you don't have to worry about that. And then for your category, this is what you are essentially categorizing it for Etsy as. There's some different things, I believe, like if you are selling wall art print, you can put in wall art printable, and there is a specific thing like digital prints here, or it could go under digital. This is what I'm currently under, but it could also be under digital prints. And just type in whatever it is that you're actually selling. So let's say it's a digital planner. So there's a few things that it could technically fall under, but if it's a editable one, I'd probably put it under a template. This one is probably what I would put it under if it's a digital planner that they don't edit, if that makes sense. Usually for the attributes, I just leave all of these blank because most of my designs have way more than the colors that are listed here as far as a primary and a secondary color. So I can't really choose that because there's just way too much going on with that. I could potentially add the weight or the width and the height of the specific tumbler wrap, but that is listed in my description, so I usually just leave that alone. Next is your tags, which is your third part of your SEO. So these are all of the search terms that people could potentially be searching for your product. So I have things like 20-ounce skinny tumbler, tumbler design, beach tumbler wrap, ocean tumbler wrap, so on and so forth. You won't have to do anything with shipping here because there is no shipping as it's a digital product. And then there are no returns or exchanges per Etsy's policies for digital files. Though if someone reaches out and they were really unhappy with the quality, Etsy does allow you to cancel and do refunds as you see fit as the shop seller, so you can totally make those judgment calls if you run into issues there. Next is your shop section. So you can add a section here. I have mine categorized by the types of designs that they are, and this kind of helps Etsy also determine for SEO ranking on a small part what it is that you're actually putting this under. So sports designs, beach and tropical designs, so on and so forth. You usually, I believe it's only 20 that you can have here, and mine are maxed out, so do keep that in mind. I have a lot that are combined, so fall, Halloween, and Thanksgiving, just because I don't have enough slots. So if you want to feature your listing, if you have that option on your shop's homepage, you can turn it on here. And then if you are advertising with Etsy ads, you can also turn it on here. And then that is it. I usually have mine left to automatic so that it will just auto renew until the listing sells out, because I don't want to go and manually renew my listings. And then that is it. You will just go ahead and hit publish, and then your listing will be live in your Etsy shop. Now, there are a few things with Etsy that you should be aware of, and that is that it usually takes Etsy anywhere from 60 to 90 days to fully see what your listing is and where to actually rank it within the search results. Etsy does give new listings somewhat of a boost to see or test out if people are interested in that product. But again, this really depends on the demand for the product that you created for in the first place. So if there is no one searching for it, since Etsy is a search engine, then likely no one is going to purchase it because no one is searching for it. So that is why it's really important to validate the demand for your niche and your audience before you go and create a bunch of products and put a lot of time and effort into it. You really want to make sure that that audience and those products are validated. So again, I would highly recommend that you check out my free audience masterclass, again linked down below, if you have more questions on that, as it is a little bit more detailed. Once you have items that are selling, I usually just say the best thing is to double down on what's working. If you've been creating things in a multiple or a variety of different styles and one is taking off more than the others, then that is a good sign that that is a style that you should begin to create more in or focus more on. If you are looking for a fully in-depth step-by-step guide on how I set my shop up to have automatic traffic all of the time, with the marketing efforts that I have put into place that are simply systems, then be sure to check out my course community. I do not call it a course because it is not just a course. I weekly add new trainings to it. I have live monthly Q&A calls, and I also include shop audits if you do need direct feedback or if something's not working. It often helps to have someone take a second look and give you a different perspective as to why things might not be working. So again, the link for that will be down in the description below, and I will see you all in the next video.